Lena Ward adjusted her glasses as the screen flickered to life. The office was quiet. Just the low hum of servers, the tick of the wall clock, and the occasional clack of her mechanical keyboard echoing through the dim, open-plan room. Most of the staff had gone home hours ago, but this job demanded solitude. The hard drive sitting beside her was government-issued, tagged Confidential, Level 3 Access, and heavily encrypted. Her firm, Verity Cybersecurity Solutions, had been contracted by a federal liaison to assess possible ransomware infiltration. But something didn't add up. Lena had dealt with infected drives before. They usually presented with signature signs, malware trails, corrupt executable files, or locked-out user profiles. This one, however, seemed hollow, too clean, as if someone had wiped it with precision, but not quite thoroughly enough. She'd started by using her standard imaging tools, Drescu FTK Imager, a few proprietary programs she'd built during grad school at MIT. Anomalies appeared almost immediately. Odd sector gaps, timestamps that jumped backward, and residual traces of a folder that had no business being there. 214 redacted. The name appeared in the metadata, and only for a split second before vanishing. She froze. That wasn't a ransomware signature. It was deliberate obfuscation. And it wasn't part of the official recovery request. Lena glanced around the room. The cleaning crew wouldn't arrive for another hour. She pulled up her custom toolset, something she affectionately called Ghost Tap. A kit of forensic extraction code she wrote herself, capable of bypassing even triple-level encryption given enough CPU power and patience. Within minutes, fragments of encrypted content began to reappear. Image files, case summaries, psychological profiles. Most of the text was garbled, corrupted, or deeply redacted, except for one name that made her breath catch. Dr. Clay Morgan. Lena sat back in her chair, stunned. Dr. Morgan had been her mentor at MIT, a genius in cognitive science and neural feedback systems. He was known for his brilliance, and equally for his disappearance. 5 years ago, without warning, he vanished. No farewell emails. No public incident. She opened a restored document. Surveillance logs. Handwritten notes, digitized. There were references to sensory priming and induced memory disruption. One line stuck out. Subject CM01 exhibits increasing paranoia. Notes indicate imminent risk of exposure. Clay was CM01. The files weren't part of any ransomware infection. They were scraps of something larger, deeper. Something someone had tried very hard to bury. And Lena had just started unearthing it. Suddenly, her terminal froze. The progress bar stalled mid-recovery. A second later, her screen went black. She looked up. The lights overhead flickered. Her phone buzzed once on the desk. Wi-Fi connection lost. Strange. Verity's network had backup redundancies. A power hiccup shouldn't kill connectivity. She checked the server cabinet. All LEDs were green. No faults. Still, something didn't sit right. She shut everything down and left the office with the drive securely in her bag. Snow had begun to fall lightly over Boston, dusting the sidewalks and empty roads as she drove home in silence, her mind racing. Her apartment, on the 3rd floor of a converted brownstone, was usually her safe haven. A minimalist space with dark wood floors, pale walls, and a cluttered desk nestled by the window. She poured herself some tea and booted up her personal laptop, planning to decompress with a puzzle game before bed. Instead, she froze. On her desktop, staring back at her like a ghost, was a folder. 214. She hadn't copied anything from the office. She was sure of it. Her personal laptop had never even touched the same network. This folder wasn't just recovered, it had followed her. Her fingers hovered over the mouse. Click. The folder contained a single file, initiated as memorylog.mp4. She opened it. The screen was dark for several seconds. Then a shaky recording faded in. The footage appeared to be taken from a body camera. Someone, possibly Dr. Morgan, was whispering into the lens, glancing over his shoulder as if being hunted. The audio was fragmented, but Lena picked up phrases. They don't delete data. They just hide it. Behavioral triggers embedded in common media. If you're watching this, they failed to erase you. The video cut out. Lena's heart pounded. She unplugged the laptop and pulled the battery, heart racing. Her windows were shut. The hallway outside her door was quiet. But suddenly, every creak and hum sounded like a threat. She didn't know what Sci-Fi 214 really was. But she was starting to understand what it meant. Someone had tried to erase a program from existence. Program connected to her mentor. Connected maybe to her. And someone knew she had seen it. As she stared at the powered-down laptop in the dark, her reflection in the black screen seemed to flicker. And just for a moment, she thought she saw someone else's silhouette behind her. The shadows in her room felt suddenly alive. And the truth was no longer just data. It had become personal. Lena didn't sleep that night. She lay on her couch, eyes wide, the dim light from the street lamp outside casting long shadows across the ceiling. Every noise made her jump. The hum of the refrigerator. A neighbor's door closing. Her nerves were frayed like an exposed wire. By morning she knew she needed help. There was only one person she trusted with this kind of anomaly. Nico J., her old friend from MIT. A cybersecurity prodigy turned gray-hat hacker. Paranoid, brilliant, and famously off-grid. She hadn't spoken to him in over a year. But if anyone could piece together a deleted government file with traces of neural manipulation, it was Nico. She sent a secure signal through an encrypted channel they'd once set up for fun, an old inside joke from their hackathon days. Need coffee? Extra dark. He replied within the hour. They met at a nondescript diner near the Cambridge riverfront, where techno music mixed awkwardly with the clatter of plates. Nico wore a faded hoodie, sunglasses, and fingerless gloves. His laptop was already open, surrounded by small RF jammers and a signal detector. He didn't even look up when she slid into the booth. "You should have left this buried," he muttered. Lena handed over a flash drive. "Can you rebuild it?" "I can try. But if this is what I think it is, you've already been marked." He plugged in the drive, frowning as lines of code scrolled by. Within minutes, his brow furrowed. This isn't just surveillance. This is behavioral programming. Neural scripts, behavioral loop maps, emotional response triggers. See this line. Project, Shadow Protocol. That's not a virus. That's a blueprint. A blueprint for what? He paused. For sleeper agents. Remote-activated ones. Lena's stomach dropped. Nico leaned back. They tested it on inmates, refugees, even students, without consent. Subconscious triggers, memory suppression. False memories layered on top of real ones. If what I'm seeing is right. The goal wasn't to control people. It was to hide what they'd done to them. He pulled up a corrupted audio file labeled Sci-Fi Audio 7-19. When he played it, a low-frequency hum filled the booth, almost imperceptible, just enough to make Lena's temples ache. She froze. A sharp pressure built behind her eyes. Flash of white. Classroom. Dr. Morgan at the front. Then darkness again. It lasted only a second, but it felt like déjà vu soaked in dread. Nico looked at her. "What did you see?" "I don't know. Just a flash. My sophomore year. Dr. Morgan's seminar." "Bingo," he whispered. "You're in here too." He turned the laptop toward her. One file displayed a list of subjects. Codename. SIM-01 was Dr. Clay Morgan. But beneath him, LW-05. Subject retained partial memory post-incident. Susceptibility to tonal triggers. High. Her initials. Her student ID. Notes about her dreams, her academic performance, even biometric data. The log was time-stamped 3 months before Dr. Morgan vanished. Lena's hands trembled. "So I was part of it." "Not willingly. You were a student. You probably volunteered for a focus group, or a learning feedback experiment. Morgan must have figured it out. That's why he tried to leak it. She stood up, heart racing. We have to expose this. But Nico didn't move. He was staring at his phone. A message had appeared on his screen. Thf. 214 trigger detected. Location logged. He paled. They're listening. Lena grabbed the flash drive and turned to run, but he grabbed her wrist. If I disappear, don't look for me. Just erase the drive. You can't trust anyone now. Not the government. Not your firm. Not even yourself. Nico. He shoved something into her hand. A physical decryption key, a custom USB with a thumbprint scanner. It's the only way to fully decrypt the rest. Use it somewhere cold and off-grid. Think like a ghost. She left without another word. That night, her apartment no longer felt like her own. She unplugged everything, drew the blinds, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark. At 2:17 a.m., her phone vibrated once. It was from Nico. Text, they know you opened it. Run. That was the last she heard from him. The next morning she searched every online alias, burner email, backchannel Nico had ever used. Nothing. He was gone. Lena looked at the decryption key in her hand. She needed answers. The full truth. A lead buried deeper than anything she'd recovered so far. She remembered something from one of the logs. A final backup stored on a cold server facility. Coordinates embedded in a corrupted header file, encoded with an obsolete cipher Morgan used to teach. She decoded it. Forested rural address. No Wi-Fi. No towers. Just coordinates and silence. Packed a bag. Flash drive. Key. Burner phone. And a loaded folder labeled, "In case I don't return." As the city shrank in her rearview mirror, Lena realized something terrifying. The humming hadn't stopped. It had followed her. Into dreams, into waking life. Soft tones, almost melodic, would sneak into the back of her mind, and when they did, she lost time. 15 minutes here. An hour there. She couldn't remember the drive from Boston to Portland. And somewhere inside something foreign stirred. The Shadow Protocol wasn't just an experiment. It was a network. And she might be its final active node. Snow fell steadily as Lena drove down the narrow road that wound deep into the woods of northern Maine. Her GPS had long since gone silent. All she had were the coordinates etched into her mind and the backup compass sitting on the dash. Every turn felt like stepping further into someone else's plan. Someone who had designed this moment years ago. The hum hadn't stopped. It was subtle now, like background tinnitus. But occasionally it crescendoed. Brief, rhythmic pulses like a coded message only her brain could decode. She didn't know what they meant, only that they made her hands twitch and her vision blur for half a second. At the end of the icy path, she saw it. An overgrown service road leading to a rusted metal gate, half collapsed under the weight of snow. Behind it, a small building camouflaged under years of neglect. Ivy strangled the sides. The roof sagged. Lena parked the car and grabbed her gear. Flashlight, the flash drive, the decryption key. The burner phone had no signal, which comforted her more than scared her. Whoever was watching, they couldn't track her here. Not yet. She pried open the door to the building, revealing a stairwell that descended into the dark. Cold, damp air poured out like breath from a long-dead mouth. She descended slowly. At the bottom, she found what remained of Project F-214. The underground facility was a time capsule. Dust-covered terminals, shattered monitors, overturned chairs. Some rooms were completely blackened by fire damage. Others looked like they'd been abandoned mid-experiment. Papers were strewn everywhere, their ink faded and warped. Then, in a side room labeled COM server. Restricted, she found it. A humming backup server still alive. The interface was ancient. CRT monitors, clunky command prompts, but Lena knew how to coax answers from machines like this. She inserted the physical decryption key Nico had given her. The screen blinked once, then glowed green. A list of directories appeared. At the bottom, final.log.vid. She opened it. A grainy video loaded. Dr. Clay Morgan stared into the camera, older than she remembered him, beard grown out, dark circles under his eyes, as if sleep had abandoned him. The recording crackled. If you're watching this, the containment has failed. That means the protocol's active. And you've been exposed. Lena leaned closer, heart pounding. I tried to stop it. I tried to go public. But Sci-Fi was never just a DARPA project. It was backed by contractors, think tanks, private corporations. Every level of plausible deniability. They erased me before I could get out. But I made sure this backup survived. He glanced off camera, then back. Lena. If it's you watching, yes, I knew. I tried to leave you out of it. You were my best student. Bright. Curious. They noticed you too. They tagged you during the sophomore cognition trials. You were one of the few who showed resistance. The protocol worked on you once. But something in your brain didn't stay buried. Lena's breath caught. They used a blackout drill to test the implant. You lost 3 hours. You said it was just exhaustion. But I saw the signs. I scanned your neurofeedback. They repressed you, rewrote memories. But the core of who you are survived. That's why I believe you can stop them. He held up a small black module. This is the trigger beacon. When anyone accesses this video, the protocol's last failsafe activates. They'll come for you, Lena. But this time you're not an asset. You're the key. Your mind can't be overwritten again. That means you're the one they can't control. The video stuttered, glitched, then froze. Then a red light blinked on the server rack. Beacon triggered. Lena stood in stunned silence. Then footsteps. Above her. Low. Heavy. Deliberate. They were here. She yanked the flash drive from the machine and slammed her elbow into the server. Again. Again. The monitor cracked. Sparks burst from the panel. She ripped out wires and smashed them with a fire extinguisher until the light died and the humming stopped. Back in the hallway, she could hear boots on the stairs. She bolted into the dark corridors, taking a different path than she came in. An old maintenance hatch near the far end led to a collapsed ventilation duct. She squeezed through, breath shallow, scraping her jacket and tearing skin on rusted edges. The sound of her own heartbeat pounded in her ears. Finally, she emerged behind the facility into the woods. Snow soaked her shoes instantly, but she didn't stop. She ran until the trees swallowed the building, and whoever was inside. At a safe house an hour south, Lena set up her final move. She uploaded everything. Dr. Morgan's video, the recovered logs, the psychological profiles, the internal memos, onto a secure, encrypted dark website built for whistleblowers. No usernames. No trackers. Just truth buried in plain sight. Within minutes, the file began to seed across hundreds of nodes. She watched it spread like wildfire. They couldn't erase it now. It's been a week since the upload. Nico hasn't resurfaced. The news hasn't mentioned anything about Sci-Fi, but Lena's seen signs. Keywords echoing in podcasts. Subtle nods in tech forums. Leaked snippets of documents. People are starting to dig. She dyed her hair, changed her name, burned her devices. She keeps moving every 3 days, trusting no one, sleeping in cheap motels or inside her car when she must. But for the first time in weeks, the hum is gone. There's silence again. The protocol has been broken, at least for her. And somewhere out there someone's watching the video. Hearing Morgan's words. Feeling the trigger. But this time it won't end in silence. It ends in exposure. The truth is out. And Lena is still running. But now she's in control.